I'm Bob. I like coffee. I also like to tell stories. So, here at the Bobcast Coffee, it's time for a coffee break. So, take a coffee break with me and pour yourself a cup of your favorite Joe. By the time you're done with your coffee, you'll know something about me you really didn't need to know. But you'll have fun learning it. Just remember, my stories are true. For the most part. Today I'm enjoying my coffee in my big green Papa mug. It's big, it's green, it says Papa on the side. If you're drinking out of it, you're in the wrong cup. But it works great for bringing my coffee right where it needs to be. And today I can say that this episode is sponsored by Scars and Stripes Coffee. Reynolds Revival, the producers of Bobcast Coffee, have teamed up with Scars and Stripes to support veterans and provide you with some of the best coffee to put in your mug. You can check out Scars and Stripes by following the link in the description. There you can find out all about their mission, their different products, and of course, order yourself some wonderful coffee. But today, we first have to get into episode 21. This is our Christmas episode. I told my wife I wanted to talk about our first Christmas together. And I asked her if she could, tell me what she remembered. And when I got up the next morning, she had a full page of memories. So I wrote down my full page of memories. And now we have to figure out if we can get them to fit together. And that's what we're going to try to do here. Episode 21 is Bob and Linda's first Christmas, taken from their points of view. The first point of view will be from Bob. In 1997, I was ready to call it all quits on California. My acting career was a bust. My finances were a smoldering wreckage. I had just had enough. So what was keeping me there in California? Linda, that's what. Linda's point of view. 1997. Divorced, bankrupt, losing the childhood home through the bankruptcy, homeschooling 3 boys, working 2 jobs, both part-time. October in 1997, the difficult search for a 3-bedroom place that allowed boys, dogs, and cats. There was a 6-pound Pomeranian that could hardly be called a dog. But we finally found the condo. Thankfully, it was in the same complex as my best friend. Bob's point of view. November of 1997. This very attractive and just made single mom of 3 needed help moving from her old house into a condo. Now, moving is something that Bob can do and do well. This could be a great opportunity to show Linda what a great guy I can be. The only problem was I really needed to change some stuff to become that great guy. Linda's point of view. November of 1997. Moved from the childhood home to a condo. Thankful for friends from church helping load the truck, high school friends hugging me when I fell apart, but mostly thankful for Bob, who orchestrated the entire move, renting and driving the moving truck, gathering the volunteers, and helping with the final packing, and so much more. December of 1997 was the first Christmas after the divorce. Now, to say that money was tight would be an understatement. The budget had enough to pay the rent, the van payment, utilities, gas, and food, but not much else. I'd resigned myself to the fact that there would not be many gifts under the tree for the boys. I hoped that I would be able to purchase one small gift for each and maybe some stocking stuffers. This was a difficult transition time for us, but we were very grateful to have many around us that lifted us up. Bob's point of view. The biggest problem that I saw that Linda had in this move was, that she homeschooled her 3 boys. And this condo she moved into was just too small. It was too small to hold all of their life and all of the homeschooling. When I saw the large pile of boxes that were full of books and papers, all set for just the homeschooling in the living room, I realized we had to find someplace else. Now, as a Bob, I've lived much of my adult life to this point, either living alone or with roommates, but still basically living alone. Shan would be the one exception on roommates. That was more of an adventure with idiots, and that's more, those stories are to come. But in reality, I really did spend my time alone. And now I am considering giving up my dining area and living room to create a homeschool area in my double-wide trailer. Oh well, it's not like I'm using it anyway. It might open up opportunities, though, to get to know Linda's boys a little better. Linda's point of view. At this time, enter Bob and his great big heart. He had opened his home to us for homeschooling during the transition so we could have a stable space to do daily schoolwork. He taught Bobby how to tie his shoes. He rejoiced with all of us when the light finally came on with Bobby and reading started. He challenged the boys to explore and get messy. He enjoyed going to scout meetings. He especially enjoyed hosing the boys down with a water-filled fire extinguisher. His house was often wet in places it shouldn't be. He had a love-hate relationship with the Pomeranian, which had been an unexpected gift at an opportune time. Bob's point of view. At Christmas, I had an opportunity that showed up. Unlike all the Christmases for the past few years, this time the Space Bank Mini Storage Christmas Party was going to be different for me. Now, the Space Bank Mini Storage Christmas Party was always a big deal. But this time, I had the chance to actually take a real live female type person with me. I asked Linda and she said yes. Now, the Space Bank party was put on by the partners, Bob and Clay, and their families. And they would always pull out all the stops to make this a great night. And I got to spend this evening with Linda. Linda's point of view. As Christmas approached, Bob asked me to attend his company Christmas party. The company was co-owned by dear friends from church, and they had their family and my family working with them. It was a warm gathering filled with good food, fun games, and great conversation. At the end of the evening, after Bob Altman flickered the lights to signal it was time to go, the Christmas cards to the employees were passed. And as they departed, in this infamous card was the annual Christmas bonus. The company based each bonus off position, pay scale, and time with the company. Bob's net total that year was a little over $300. As I was driving him back to his house, he opened the envelope, looked at the amount, and declared that we would be using this money to buy presents for the boys. Bob's point of view. Shopping for 3 boys I barely knew was interesting at best, but it gave Linda and I more time to be together, and for her to find out about my claustrophobia and hate of large crowds. But we were armed with a little over $300, and we were off to the races. One thing that was heavy on my heart were bicycles. Why bikes? Who knows why, but that's what I really felt was needed. Not expensive, not the best, but bikes for Christmas. It just seemed to be perfect. What I remember about those bikes was trying to put them together on Christmas Eve. As the night grew late and we were on the last bike, I was trying to remove a zip tie that was around one of the tires, and I slipped with my knife and I punctured a hole right into the tire. Great. Now I have a brand new bike with an absolutely useless flat tire. I got mad. But it's Christmas Eve, and there's no place you're going to go to get a new tire on Christmas Eve. But that's okay. I'm Bob, and I had an answer. See, back in the workshop, back at Space Bank, I had a can of that green emergency tire sealant. This means when I go home, I gotta go and get that can, come back early, so sometime around 1:30, I go home. I rummage out in the shop, retrieve the can of this super spray, took a quick shower, slept for 2 hours, and was back on the road, heading back to Linda's. Linda's point of view. The shopping was done, the wrapping was accomplished, and the tree looked great. Christmas Eve came with a Beard family gathering, food, family mayhem, presents, and an overwhelmed Bob who wasn't used to quite so big of an event. When we arrived back to the condo, we got the boys settled into bed and set out the presents and trimmings. Bob went home around midnight and then returned in the morning before the boys woke up so he could be part of the fun. We lived about half an hour from each other when there was no traffic, so he had spent an hour or so round trip. And the funny thing was, I had offered to let him sleep on the couch, but he still wanted to maintain the propriety for the boys. The funny thing was that they were asleep when he left and when he returned, so they really didn't know that he had gone home, but he knew, and God knew. Bob's point of view. Christmas morning, around 5 a.m., I am sneaking back into the condo, and I'm filling that stinking flat tire with my super sealant. If you listened really carefully, you could hear all the elves back at the North Pole cheering, "Christmas is saved." I would later that week stop by when everyone was gone and replace the inner tube. I just didn't feel right having a patched bike tire. I wanted it to be a good bike tire. Linda's point of view. I don't remember what the gifts were or how long they lasted. I don't know when the boys were told that Bob had spent his bonus on them. I do know that for the remaining years we were in California and he worked for Space Bank Mini Storage, the Christmas bonus was always used for the presents. The gift of self and treasure started a path toward what our family is today. Devoted, faithful, giving, sharing, and crazy. I treasure the memories built in the tougher times. We truly enjoy the traditions of the season, embrace the hectic, try and outdo the decorations from the year before, and treasure the family time. Bob's POV. I absolutely love the family traditions we have built over the years. Even in the joys of tradition, there's a little tear that can fall. One thing I've always loved was the boys not being allowed into the living room until everyone was awake. So as the boys would wake up, they would stop in the hallway and wait for the rest of their brothers, which meant that I could get up, make a pot of coffee, pour a cup of coffee, and relax in the living room, drinking coffee and watching the boys not able to enter the living room and just wait. For years, there are pictures of all four boys lined up waiting. Then all of a sudden there were pictures of 3 boys. Then pictures of 2 boys. Now 1 boy. Someday I would love to see the 4 boys waiting for Christmas in the hall again. But they have their own families and lives to build, Christmas traditions to create with their families. So I guess Linda and I will build new traditions for ourselves. I do love Christmas, I do love the traditions, and I love my family. Have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.